Welcome back, beautiful people, to part 2 of our interview with ALEXEI NAVALNY. And we have Courtney Dillon here. I'll read again a little bit about ALEXEI in case you did not watch part 2, and shame on you if you didn't. ALEXEI Navalny, Russian opposition leader, lawyer, anti-corruption activist, political prisoner, died February 24 at the age of 46 while serving a 19-year prison sentence in the Russian Arctic. At first, he was poisoned. He survived that, and eventually he died of starvation in prison. They starved him. So, question number 20, and thank you guys in the community for helping with the questions. We really appreciate your brilliance. And welcome back, Mr. Navalny, and Erik. I still love you.
Thank you. Thank you. He says.
Oh, and Courtney Dillon's information is in the description box, but also it will be on the screen. Does Putin have better political intentions than the U.S. media portrays him to have?
He's laughing. No. No.
So what needs to happen to shift Russia in the right direction?
This is a difficult question.
Oh, yes.
But I wholeheartedly believe in my people and believe strongly that justice will prevail. It is important for people to stand up for what is right and just.
Yeah.
Over time, the political party will weaken, and those in power. He's showing me what's the symbol? Achilles heel. Like there is an Achilles heel of some of these governmental officials, and Putin in particular. They are often, they believe strongly in their own power, and this is their weakness. They do not understand the truth that power comes from within and comes from the people and comes from justice. They do not understand that over time, that justice will prevail because those people, the people of Russia, will not give up.
Okay. What is Putin's sole mission? What's his spiritual contract in all this?
I believe that there is a battle waging on the planet between light and dark.
Yes. Yes.
Goodness and evil.
Yeah.
I can only speak to this battle. I do not know directly the purpose of Putin's soul contract, but I can see that I have fought him as an adversary in other lifetimes.
Oh. Okay.
People who are ruled by him have to stand up for themselves and their children. And know that a more equitable and fair democratic government is what's needed in Russia.
It's going to have to be a coup. They're going to have to take out Putin, and I think not necessarily kill him, and the big military leaders, starve, freeze all their bank accounts, whatever they need to do. I can't imagine. But, you know, nature abhors a vacuum, so what's going to come in its place is kind of scary too.
He's smiling. I do not disagree with you, but believe there is action that can be taken quickly. He's showing me that there's a handful of very prominent opposition leaders who are like could form some sort of like interim or temporary government.
Okay.
And what I'm suggesting, I understand, does not appeal to everyone, and it does not come without bloodshed. But it is important to know that this is that freedom is the only way which we will move forward, it is important to know that what we consider our government is nothing more than men who take others' power and use brutality, violence, and force to get their way.
Terrible. Well, I mean, talk about bloodshed. I would rather, assassinate Putin and all his big dogs than continue that. There's been hundreds of thousands of Russian soldiers who are dead because he invaded Ukraine. So, I mean, it's greater good kind of thing,
I believe that I sacrificed my life for the greater good,
Yeah.
and many others have as well.
Yeah.
I am not special. I am not more important
You keep saying
than
that.
other brothers and sisters who have sacrificed their life
Yes,
for the cause.
I appreciate that. Erik, can you elaborate more about the spiritual contract that Putin came into this incarnation to do?
Yeah, Erik will talk.
Yeah.
Erik's saying to me that, like, he's showing me Hitler, for example, which is interesting, that Hitler, and he's using this as an example. So there is some ways in which these very corrupt and brutal people who come into the world and find themselves in positions of power, that as collectives, what we are learning is we're learning to overcome. We're learning to come into true freedom. We're learning courage. We're learning lessons as a collective in this way. And he's talking about how this is like, we find this story over and over and over and over. And it really, he's showing me Atlantis, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And how it's misuse and abuse of power, and how we have the opportunity right now as we evolve on this planet to learn how to create governments that do not misuse and abuse power and ultimately have too much power. And so some of these people that we consider evil are playing a part to remind us of this ability, which we will eventually be able to create the types of governments that are based on higher principles. I mean, not right now, though, he's saying.
You said Crimea should become part of Russia again. It got Ukrainians all upset, but they did stand in solidarity with you overall. Do you still believe that Crimea belongs to Russia now that you're in spirit?
Yes, this is still my belief that it would be the right thing for Crimea to be a part of Russia.
Okay. Can you share with us how Julian Assange's present timeline what it looks like? Will he be released, extradited to the US, or will he die in the UK prison? Erik, you can step in if you think you can.
Yeah, he doesn't feel very comfortable speaking of Assange because he doesn't know him, but Erik can look.
Okay.
Erik's telling me, unfortunately, does not look like he will be released. There's not a huge likelihood.
So he'll probably just die in prison?
Yes.
What is the spiritual purpose of Russians and Ukrainians living through this current conflict this current war?
Erik's talking.
Okay.
It's to remind themselves of the importance of freedom, to remind themselves of the importance of working together in community with one another and creating governments based on fairness and love and higher principles. The purpose of this war, it is difficult so this is Erik. He's talking about what's the purpose of any war, really. What's the purpose of bloodshed?
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't want to like sugarcoat or make
No.
it seem like, oh, you know, we're just doing this over and over and this is like a good thing and it's valuable, or all it's going to do is create more pain.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
and it's important we start understanding that.
We need more matriarchal societies. Yeah.
He says, fine. And if you feel like you can't do anything, because a lot of people listening to this will feel like, well, what can I do about that? Or what can I do about this other? You know, there's lots of really awful conflicts going on right now. Find and identify, he says, the war within yourself and work on that. Okay. Identify the war within your family and work on that. You know, make peace with those around you.
Yeah.
Live in that energy. And that is what he really wants people to understand, is we actually, through our vibration of peace, can affect those on the other side of the world. Amazing. So it's pretty powerful.
A lot of power, people. Did we answer this? What was Navalny's sole mission, sole purpose, mission? Did you already answer that? Okay, maybe
I believe my sole mission is to speak truth and to be an example of courage and freedom.
What past life or past lives have influenced your current life as Navalny? And maybe you would also like to share another life you had with Putin.
I have found myself in the role of leader before. He's showing me that it's almost like he has the soul of like kind of like he calls himself like a reluctant leader.
Yeah.
Like
I can see
doesn't, yeah, that's how he feels. He's sort of just like, okay, this is what I have to do, but it doesn't really, I mean, it's not like a huge want or desire. He doesn't want it because of fame or notoriety. He doesn't care about that kind of stuff.
Like somebody's got to do it.
Right. Okay, so he did find himself in the French Revolution. And there are some similarities in what was happening and what is happening in Russia now. And he's showing me a stage, and he's standing. There's a bunch of people in the crowd, like, and he's a leader, a speaker in this revolution. It looks like Putin's also not in that crowd, but he is like in opposition. So he's found himself in opposition with this actual particular soul in other lifetimes. He said, no, he's not Napoleon. He's not Napoleon, or what he's showing me is he's found himself in lots of revolutions, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. All right. How many lives do you think you've had with Putin?
Too many.
Oh, God, I know. I can imagine. Right, will you choose an easier life for your next incarnation?
No.
Really?
It is my, despite the challenges and difficulties in my life, I consider it a good life. Yeah. I have a beautiful, caring wife who I love very much, and 2 wonderful children. I do not consider this life more difficult than some others, even though that might be hard for others to believe. Okay. No, he is very clear that he is going to keep on really fighting
for truth.
Basically. Yes.
Fighting against corruption.
Justice,
yes. He
is a light worker, although he would have never used that phrase. Yeah. He is a light worker, and so when he comes to the planet, he has people gather around him. He has that energy of a light worker he is reluctant about it, but he has the energy of a leader, and he will come back and do that again, it looks like.
Okay. Rest a little bit.
Yeah, he's resting.
All right. Now, in hindsight, would you have done anything differently with your political opposition toward Putin?
It is easy from my perspective to say, yes, I should have done this differently or that differently. But in truth, my life served a purpose, and I am proud of that purpose. I do not see any other thing that could have been done. I do not see any other way that this could have turned out, for it was my time to leave.
Okay. Any message for your wife and kids?
I speak to them privately
Okay.
through dreams, and it is important I honor their privacy.
Okay. I
I
agree.
am very proud of my wife.
Mhm.
She is a strong woman,
And beautiful and strong.
and in many ways, she is a stronger leader than I am. And we will see much of her in the coming years as I support her from the other side.
And I hope the divine supports her too in this big battle between good and evil.
He's showing me their like divine counterparts or soulmates. Like they come together and have come together in this way in other lifetimes. They very much support one another and are very close, lovely soulmates. I mean, it's a very beautiful relationship.
Oh, that's wonderful. What lessons would you like the people, this is the last question, to learn from your life and bravery?
That my life is not more valuable or important than any other life. That I simply chose to do the right thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You too have within you the choice to stand up to corruption, to stand up to what is not right. That's what he wants to say.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Erik, would you like to say anything?
No, he thinks that's a good place to leave it. He says, thank you. Thank you, Mom.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Courtney. Thank all of you guys. Be sure you watch part 2 if you missed it, and subscribe to the channel. Love you. And thank you, ALEXEI. I really have so much love and admiration for you.
He's saying thank you very much. He's glad to speak with you, and he's happy to be here today.
All right. Go rest. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.